And good morning. It is Tuesday, believe it or not. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. So glad to have you aboard this morning with us as we begin this. Now, again, let's talk about one thing that is a concern today. That is thick, and more thick fog as you begin your day, which means you need to leave home a little bit early because this stuff is very dangerous as we start this. Now, a lot of it has been to the west over the last hour. We're starting to see it shape up a little bit different. It doesn't mean that there's not light fog there, but let's pull this up where you can see this morning. As we glance at this, northern Lauderdale County and Kemper County covered in thick fog. If you're going to be traveling Highway 495, Highway 493, it gets thicker at Highway 39 and Highway 45 toward Kemper County all the way. And again, this is going to be two-lane highways on this side. 45 is four-lane, but it doesn't mean that we can't have trouble. Now, as we go south of here, we'll see that we've got this also in the edge of Clark County, down through Wayne County, over to Chatham, Alabama. And look at this to our east over here, Selma, thick. Now, we had this type of fog about an hour and a half ago in this area here. So it's not all clear. I don't want to let anybody think that it's perfect out there. Radar picks up that thicker fog. Doesn't mean that we still don't have fog in those areas. So be careful. I can't stress that enough. We've had so many incidents here lately and lost loved ones. We don't want to lose anybody else. So use your P's and Q's. Why? Somebody depends upon you. Got to take care of you for someone else, if that makes sense. Hope everybody's got a smile. We're ready to face this. It's Tuesday. We've got a special guest, actually two, coming up this morning. Our big winner from Collinsville, bringing home, you almost want to say the gold, but bringing home the trophy, the Bassmaster Elite, a national championship. We've got a professional fisherman dragging that trophy up in here in a little while. We'll get to see it. Mr. Brock Mosley will join us. And also we're going to have some bikers come in. They're doing something equally as good as they're helping kids. Is it Bikers for Kids? Is that what we're calling it?
It's the Bikers for Kids, but
Bikers
they're raising
money
food this time.
They're raising food for children this summer. Yeah. We got all that coming up this morning at 7 o'clock. I hope you'll join us. Guys, they do such a wonderful job of helping at Christmas, and now they're turning to help give food to kids that need a little something extra during the summertime. We'll tell you all about it on the way. Right now, let's head out to Collinsville as we have to get a good word to start our day.
How far are you willing to go to stay out of trouble? When I was a senior in high school, me and two of my buddies skipped school to go fishing. In an effort to stay out of trouble at school, I lied about where I'd been, only to find out they knew exactly what I'd done. I realized I was a terrible liar, or maybe it was the sunburn on my neck that gave me away. In Matthew 28:11-15, the account of Jesus' resurrection continues when the soldiers who were supposed to be guarding the tomb went back to the city to tell the high priest everything that had happened. Verse 12 and 13 says, when the chief priests had met with the elders and devised a plan, they gave the soldiers a sum of money, telling them, you are to say, his disciples came during the night and stole him away while we were asleep. Verse 15 says the soldiers took the money and, quote, this story has been widely circulated among the Jews to this very day. The chief priests and soldiers were terrible liars because there wasn't even a body to steal. Jesus was very much alive, and he lives today in heaven, waiting for a time for his glorious return. Are you eagerly waiting Christ's return? Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Boy, always good messages in that. Don't forget, tomorrow night, they're going to have the church doors open. They'd love to have you there. Always a lot to do for the kids as they get ready for Vacation Bible School. And those are a lot of those. Maybe there's a church near you that will do it. Make sure that your kids or grandkids are involved in all of that. Later in life, it will have a huge influence on them. Start them early. Let them know what it's really all about. As we look at world headlines today around the world, we look to Haiti as we saw that storm building in the Gulf as it went. In Haiti, there's 42 dead and 19,000 people homeless due to flooding. We send our hearts and prayers to those folks that lost everything. A sad, sad situation as we look across the water at that. When I first saw this story, I shook my head and thought, well, there's a typo. was Texas. There's absolutely no way that could be, but as you read deeper into the story, you see why. A Texas sheriff says Ron DeSantis should be held accountable and arrested for sending all those folks to the different cities. As I read closer and got down into this, the sheriff was a Democratic sheriff. I didn't realize that people actually felt that he should be arrested for that. They're being dumped in Florida. I didn't see the problem there, but he's speaking out, and they're making a big deal out of that. If you start seeing that, here he is. Let's show a picture of this. Daily Mail's got his picture here. Here's the sheriff. That's him. He thinks that Ron should be arrested. Now, that's doing good for all sides of the party there. Ron's making headlines out of this. He's hoping that some of this will gain some attraction to Republican voters against Trump. And, of course, the sheriff there wants to be known for the guy that takes him down there. So that's headlines this morning. Texas sheriff. I was trying to find his name. Bexar County, Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salivar. I'm pretty close on the pronunciation. That's headlines there out of Texas this morning. Do y'all remember, and he's such a great actor, Anthony Hopkins. If you'll remember, he played in all the Thor movies. And he sums it up going back to this, and he goes, it really wasn't fun at all. They stood me in front of a blue screen, and I had to act, and he goes, that's not acting. And then they put all of the graphics behind him. I can almost relate to that. If you're a real actor, that has to be hard. The first Thor movie was fun. I liked it. And then it got a little far-fetched for me to do it with all those heroes coming in and, okay, all right. Yeah, going out of space. Sad news as we look at this also. We keep hearing more stories about this, of the plane that went over Washington that descended. As we found out that the cabin lost pressure, everybody in it was most likely knocked out as the plane crashed. As more and more, and of course they were Trump donors, the parents of this plane, the people that owned the airplane. As we get deeper into this, they had lost a daughter years ago on a scuba diving expedition. She was young, 18 or 19 years old. They adopted a lady that was 40 years old because she reminded them so much of their daughter. She is the one and their granddaughter that were on the plane that went down on their private plane. And of course the nanny was on the plane as well. All on board lost their lives. Sad, sad, as you scroll through and look at the pictures of, she was young and the child. It breaks your heart. I don't quite understand how that happens with airplanes, but it's happened more than once. A sad, sad day as we look at that. But I think that may be the first time I've ever heard of anyone being, Odie, have you ever heard of somebody being adopted at 40?
No, I mean, that's the first.
That's first for me, but I guess it was a close-knit relationship that they had with them.
If they've got a lot of money, I'll go with 52.
You'll go with 52, get adopted? That's called a sugar mama is what that's called. Odie over there. You got one called Amy. She's got you hooked, boy. As we look at this, there's things that I don't understand about company policies. Now, of course, a company in America is allowed to make their own policy. But I do think sometimes policy falls into changing the way the American life is. How can somebody that is doing right be fired for doing what I consider right? Well, it was against company policy. I'll give them for that. They did write it down. That doesn't mean that it's right, though, as we look at this. And maybe I'm pronouncing this a little wrong. Let me show you a picture of the company building as we look at this. This is called Lumen, I believe is how you pronounce this. That store right there. And of course, they've got upscale purses and things of that nature. They had 2 employees that were working. Someone came in, stole about $7,000 worth of merchandise. The 2 people working there, in my opinion, done the American thing. They chased the criminals down that had the product. And of course, you know what happened. You know where the story is going. They were promptly fired for interacting with someone who stole anything because it was against company policy. This is what gives thieves an open policy to steal, in my opinion, because there's no repercussions. Now, I understand that nobody wants an employee to get hurt chasing someone, but to fire someone for trying to do the right thing of someone stealing, I feel is wrong. It's almost as if we're really losing our way in America, and the good guy is getting punished, and the bad guy gets nothing. Oh, this would be a perfect example of that, wouldn't it? Awful. I do hope someone picks up these 2 ladies and gives them a job. I disagree with that. Now, you may agree with the company policy. If you do, we'd love to hear from you as well. I like to hear all sides of stories. The next story, as we turn to this morning, that is shaping America, I just don't get it why this would happen here. Florida is where we go for this. I bring this one up because it has a lot to do with who your children date. Never back away and not be involved with who your children date, because it is your business. I've heard a lot of parents go, oh, that's none of my business. They can like who they want. Well, no, that's not true. You should be involved in their lives. A young lady broke up with a young man. That happens every day in America. Relationships, married people break up. This happens. But this was a high school student. She was 17. I think he just turned 18 and graduated. He was disgruntled about the situation and stalked the mother, the daughter, or the girlfriend and her friend at a restaurant. As they came out to leave the restaurant, he attacked. He stabbed the mother, he stabbed the ex-girlfriend and her friend, and then tried to cut his own throat. I think all of them in the end are going to be okay, but I say that about just being aware who your children date and what's going on upstairs. That's scary, isn't it? It scared me. Now, one of the next subjects that is becoming quite a topic in America these days, and this would be what's going on with the transgender movement. It's a hot topic in America right now. You have to talk about it. It is going on. As we go to a prison, Minnesota is where we're going to go this morning. This was a guy that chose to be a woman who is in jail. He is in the men's jail. Well, he's getting picked on by the men because he thinks he's a woman. Well, he sues. And guess what? He wins in Minnesota because he feels he should have been placed in a female prison. He wins $500,000. He is going now to be moved to a female prison. Now, keep in mind that below the waist, I think you would still identify as a man. Mentally, he thinks he's a woman. Now, what's going to happen when we get to prison? I'll let y'all fill in the blanks on that. But he will also now qualify for surgery from the state to make him what he thinks he is. Everybody follow me on this? Why should taxpayers will end up making the bill for this? Minnesota is strong on this. I'm shocked. Now, I guess you're free to think whoever you want to be in America, but making the taxpayers pay for what you think you are and turning it into reality or some form of that, I don't agree with. But that's happening there. Our next subject that is another hot button that I wanted to bring up quickly this morning involves Biloxi, Mississippi, the VA. Now, you see behind me, that's the American flag. Out front right here where I am right now, I'm flying an American flag. Now, my nice pole that I got kind of damaged from a windstorm to come through, and it's got a little angle to it now, but the American flag flies high outside our studio. I have no other flag flying there. As a business, I have the right to make my own flag if I want to and put a Scotty Ray underneath the American flag if I wanted to. But I think there's a difference when it comes to a government agency. That flagpole out front should house the American flag, followed by the state flag in which what it flies in. I don't feel that any other flag should fly on an American base other than the state flag and the American flag. Everybody with me so far? Controversy in Mississippi. The VA in Biloxi, Mississippi, below that American flag is a pride flag. There's those that want it removed. It's Pride Month from what I understand. And again, this is a hot topic in America also. But again, I go back to if you own your own business, it's your flagpole in your yard, that's your right. Fly whatever you want below that American flag. But when it comes to a government agency, I feel that should be held for Old Glory. Too many people have lost their lives for that flagpole, for what it stands. And it does give you a right as an American to do what you want. But that is owned by the government. I don't think it needs to go anyway. Even if you were a Mississippi State fan, I don't think that flag should fly on that pole. Or if you're an Alabama flag fan. And what I'm saying is that is reserved solely for the American flag, followed by the state flag, in my opinion. Am I wrong? Makes you wonder what's going on across America these days, doesn't it? Anyway, that's a hot topic in Mississippi there. We'll see what becomes of it. Next, we're going to do your forecast, followed by the 7 o'clock show. All that's coming up. We'll be right back.
No matter how many times you try, and no matter where you call, Representative 81 Steve Horn won't answer the phone. We're not getting any representation in Jackson. District 81, we can do better. Vote Ben Shirley, August the 8th. Paid for by Ben Shirley.
The Precast Group, offering you the best selection when it comes to a storm shelter. Located on 145 South in Meridian, where they offer above-ground shelters that can be installed in your home as you're built-in, are conveniently located right outside your home if it's already built. They also offer storm shelters that can be installed in a slight bank or on flat ground. Protect your family today with a very affordable storm shelter from the Precast Group. Highway 145 South, 601-482-0003. The Precast Group.
Hello, my name's Kenneth Graham, and I'm running for coroner of Lauderdale County. For over 50 years, Lauderdale County's been represented by professional and competent coroners. I would like to continue that tradition. Over the next several months, I want to educate the public on what the coroner does and dispel any myths about the coroner job. I can show you that I will be the most professional coroner there is. So please vote for me August the 8th.
Paid for by the Committee for the Election of Kenneth Graham.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
As we look at our record highs, our record lows, it was 1977. Woo, I was 8 years old. It was 100 degrees today, a hot day it was. Back in 09, we had a cool temperature of 53. I can hardly remember 09. I remember 77 better than I do 09. That's bad. As we look at the forecast today, we're going to be somewhere right around 90 to 91 as we look at this. The rain will be a little bit heavier northwest and west of the Meridian areas. We see that Philadelphia and up through Louisville area will have a little bit more. To the south, we'll have an 89-degree mark there. Down in Natchez, somewhere around 87 today. As we look to Alabama, this is what we've got lined up. 89 in Demopolis, 89 around Fayetteville, and as we look to Montgomery, we should have around 91 degrees today. Nice weather, nice weather. A little bit of rain mixed in with that. Now, as we look at the temperatures across the state of Mississippi over the next 6 to 10 days, as you'll see right at the Meridian area, right around Clark County, a little bit warmer as we go southward toward that southwestern portion of Mississippi. As we'll look out to Texas, that central and south Texas is going to be the hottest weather that we've got. Still out toward Nevada, California, a little bit cooler weather there possibly coming. It's not going to make that much of a difference. We're getting into the 90s. As a matter of fact, let's look at our 7-day forecast as we look at this. 89 today to 90. We'll look at 90 tomorrow. And by Friday, we'll finally start shedding this with our only day of not getting a lot of rain. We've got 30% on Thursday, 40% Wednesday. As we look to the weekend, smidgens of chances on Saturday, and then back up to a 40% chance on Sunday. Brought to you by our friends out at Wilson Outdoor. So rain in the forecast this week. Gardens are going to love it. As we look ahead, let's back up here. As we look to this, we do show that temperatures through the 20th look to be somewhere around 98 degrees on June the 20th. Now, that's hot, folks. Y'all be ready for this. We even got 96 coming by the 15th, so it's going to be warmer weather. Now, the tropics do today show us that we do have a small storm out in the Atlantic. It's only a 10% chance of anything becoming of that. We'll keep a close eye on all the tropics. What's happening with fishing today? Looks like it'll be pretty good today as we look at our major time this morning was at 3:30 if you were up. Your next chance to be out on a major fishing expedition will be this afternoon right at 4 o'clock from 4 until 6. Now, I can give it to 6:30. Give you an extra 30 minutes there. Bring along some crackers. The wind's going to be calm, becoming south around 5 o'clock this afternoon. So perfect fishing weather there from Chet and his gang there at the body shop. We are roughly 10 minutes away from coming back. We're going to go live in 5 minutes for the morning show. We got Brock Mosley coming in with that big trophy to tell us all about how it is to be a huge winner. We got the Bikers for Kids as well, all action-packed this morning. So join us, all kicking off at 7 o'clock this morning. We'll see you back in just a moment.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: